Alisha Mohammed, a professor from India, is now here, so we can move on to the topic Heterotopia and Poiesis in Kamala Das's My Story, a spatial study. So let me know if you are ready. Okay, we can see the PowerPoint, but we can't hear you.
Good morning, sir.
All right, now we can hear you, yes. Could you speak for a couple moments so I can check if the sound is all right? Just say
Uh,
something.
the paper is titled as Heterotopia and Poiesis and Kamala's My Story, a spatial
Okay,
study.
good, thank you. So we can understand it, I think. All right. So whenever you're ready, just start with the presentation, and after that we will talk a little bit. So my questions and maybe some questions in the audience. So if you have our students especially and any other attendees, if you have any questions, just post them in the chat and I will read it out after the presentation. All right. So whenever you're ready, begin. Thank you.
Yeah. Good morning. My topic is Heterotopia on Poiesis and Kamala's My Story, which is a spatial study. Kamala is a prominent figure in Indian English literature, known for her exploring femininity, sexuality, and independence. So she challenges conventional gender roles and social taboos, establishing herself as a significant voice of feminist thought in India. Her autobiography, originally titled as Ende Kada in Malayalam, which is later translated into English, My Story, published in 1976. So this autobiography is a chronicle chronicle of her life from childhood to adulthood, detailing her challenges, relationship, and identity quest. So the theme of love, desire, betrayal, and disillusionment, which all the harsh realities faced by women. So the autobiography is confessional in tone, which blends the vulnerability with a rebel against the established norms of morality and femininity. So, as a writer, she combines autobiography and fiction in the text, exploring the themes of gender, identity, and autonomy with artistic richness and sincerity. Uh, I here use uh, yes, the structure of the book is comprises of three chapters. Recounting her experience, racial discrimination, and literary careers. So it is a blending of different genres, including few chapters. After 20th chapter, we can see there are few of her poems are used as an epilogue. It is in the chapter introductions or as well as inside the text. So which tries to blur the genre of fiction as well as factual ones. Uh, Heterotopia. Heterotopia is a concept introduced by Michel Foucault, which is used for the specific cultural, institutional, and discursive space characterized by otherness. So this particular metaphor is also used to reflect the unreal images, including utopia, while being a tangible object that interact with the surroundings. As Walter Russell mentions, that utopia is a place where everything is good, dystopia is a place where everything is bad, and heterotopia is where things are different. That is a collective whose members have few or no intelligible connection with one another. So this is the first idea I incorporated in the text. Next one is the poiesis. Poiesis already we have seen so many people explaining the term poiesis. Here I use it as a meta-poetic approach, which is a conscious engagement in creation, that is art, science, or personal growth, involving and bringing forth the meaning into existence. So this particular term is used to create a foundation to activity and meaning making, including the form of self-creation, that is the autopoiesis. Involved in the conscious creations. So here, Kamala Das used her artistic expressions, try to blend both factual things with fictional things. So a kind of a personal development. So it emphasizes the sensitivity to meaning, balancing the chaotic aspect of the existence. So I quoted a few poems from the chapters. In the chapter 22, A Desire to Die, we can see Kamala explore deep themes of alienation and desperation linked with the concept of heterotopia and poiesis. Her powerful imagery describing her body as a wound and contemplating jumping from a terrace. This symbolizes not just her sufferings, but also the creation of heterotopian space where she confronts her feeling of confinement and disconnection. So this space allows her to reflect on her reality beyond social norms, and she grapples with her roles and desires. So we can see Kamala's decision to write a poem about the new beginning of each chapter is a significant act of poiesis, where she transformed her anguish into something meaningful and hopeful. In this creative process, she reclaims agencies and bridges that gap between her emotional pain and a vision for a better future. So the act of poiesis become a powerful tool for emergence and transformation, enabling Das to bring forth a new meaning from suffering. In chapter 27, Sedations, the portrayal of madness as a fragmented reality further embodies the heterotopian qualities. Here, physical intimacy devoid of emotional significance create a dissonance between her internal experience and societal expectations. This chapter depicts a madness, illustrate a space where traditional norms are suspended, allowing Dawes to explore her emotional turmoil freely. Critics like C.L. Khatri highlights how her imagery reflects this disconnection, challenging conventional understanding of relationship identity. In the chapter 26, Greed for Love similarly engages with the heterotopian themes. The evocative imagery of silent pigeons and oppressive heat mirrors. Emotionally, we can see the Das conflict and longing for a connection. Even though she got married at very young age, so she's trapped in a loveless marriage where sex is predominantly, and it is very painful for her. So in this dream-like space, she expresses her need for love beyond societal conventions. Of course, this particular book is also known for the openly sharing of her extramarital affairs. So through her poetic language, Doss constructs an alternative emotional reality that exposes the complexities of desires and emotional dependence. Um, my summative point is Kamala work embodies both heterotopia and poiesis, enable her to navigate and articulate the multifaceted realities of her life. Through her poignant exploration of love, desire, and suffering, she creates alternative space in her poetry that defies societal norms, ultimately offering readers a deeper insight into human experience. So Kamala creates heterotopian space in her poetry and autobiography, My Story, offering alternative perspective on love, suffering, and womanhood. Usually, whenever a writer tries to write something, he or she has to follow certain norms. But Kamala does vehemently. She has broken all the barriers and societal expectations. What are the things that are said as a taboo? She broke everything and she confessed everything. So, but by intertwining her poetry with her narrative, Doss invited readers to explore the complexity of her identity, desire, and emotional experience, crafting a rich tapestry of often contradictory truths that reflect her inner turmoil and quest for freedom. So, in her poem, she articulates her longing for love and connection, presenting an alternative space where she expresses her desires and frustration. Her vivid imagery, such as sun swollen like a fruit, capture her emotional struggle and weight of the social expectation. This poetic expression embodies voices, creating authentic realities that challenges normative structure. Moreover, the blurring of boundaries between truth and imagination exemplifies her engagement with heterotopia by quoting her poetic lines within her narrative and the autobiography. She fosters a dialogue between her lived experience and creative expressions, inviting the readers into a layer of understanding of her identity and emotions. So finally, Kamala's work in Endekada, My Story, embodies both heterotopia and poiesis, allowing her to navigate and articulate the multifaceted realities of her life. Through her poignant exploration of love, desire, and suffering, she creates alternative spaces that defy societal norms, ultimately offering deeper insight into the human experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will need a second to check in with my colleagues because we are finishing very quickly the presentation. So in the meantime, can you hear me, by the way? Is it okay? Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So as I was saying, I'm checking in with my colleague to see what we can do because we are finishing quite quickly.
Sir, I couldn't hear you. Your voice is breaking, sir.
Okay. I will
Is it better now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Sorry, I am having technical issues. So I will check in with my colleague, as I mentioned, because we are finishing quickly with the presentations to see whether to have a break and maybe come back to the other topics later. So I will be silent for a moment, but in the meantime, if any of you have any questions, please ask either in the chat and I will read it later, or just turn on your mic and ask some questions about the topic. All right, so maybe I will ask if you are still here and available for questions. I'm interested in what stories, let's say, specifically, what kinds of stories from this author would you recommend to anyone who's interested in, let's say, her work? Just in general, I mean.
Your voice is breaking. May I get the question again?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I was just asking about specific stories, if you could mention some titles that you could recommend, something that maybe was not mentioned in your presentation from this author to anyone who's interested in the work.
So, it starts from chapter 28 to 42. In all these chapters, she incorporated her poetry, starting from an introduction and some of her best poems. How, in what period or in what mood she wrote that poem. So that is a kind of phase. When we see that poem, it is totally contradictory to her own life. Her husband was not there, but she needs a kind of emotional and physical support from her husband, but he is not there. So she tries to create some kind of heterotopian space that is in her poetry by creating that she is getting the love of his husband or her extramarital affairs, how she handled that thing or included in chapter 24 to 42. Sir. With the help of poetry, she tries to convince the reader how, or it is a kind of justification of her act.
Thank you.